It's about hitting the easy button. What's the quickest way to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish? And so sometimes that's going to involve a human, sometimes that's going to involve a machine. And so it's not just about what's technically feasible, right? But it's also about what do your customers want.
All right, today we have author, speaker, and insurance futurist Rob Galbraith with us. Welcome, Rob.
Hey, great to be with you, Amber.
Yeah, great to have you. Interested in talking about the future of insurance. So let's jump into hot topics. Parametric insurance. We've spoken on cat exposures such as hurricane, wildfire, and flooding, to name a few. What are your thoughts on the parametric approach for these types of losses?
I'm really excited about some of the features with parametrics, not just triggering wind speed or rainfalls or flood levels, but actually combining it with aerial imagery and AI to kind of detect, like, yes, we see that there's just a slab down there from this wildfire, and we see that the home was built with these materials and it's going to cost this much to rebuild. So I think of events like Hurricane Maria, Cat 5 hurricane hitting Puerto Rico, and it just be very difficult to get in and to get out. And for folks, particularly outside of the San Juan area, it might take 6 to 9 months for a claims adjuster to fly out and go out there and inspect the damage, when you have a pretty good idea what type of damage those winds will do to those type of homes. And obviously those insureds need the money very, very quickly. So I just love the ability for people to be able to get remuneration, right, for their claim and start their life again very, very quickly. You really kind of have to have a little bit of trust in your data, in your modeling. You really have to have faith in systems and algorithms in a way that I think, in the past, like, we've kind of used our tacit knowledge, our hard-earned experience as an underwriter. And so you are, in some aspects, giving up control. But I also think by giving up control, you're actually enabling, right, a much better solution for many folks in the marketplace.
Definitely see the potential there, especially from a consumer perspective. If you think about waiting 6 months for a check when you've been hit by a hurricane, that's just not going to cut it.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing too is you're really radically reducing loss adjustment expenses, right? Where it's a significant expense, both to the insurance companies, but obviously that gets passed along in the form of premiums. And so while you may be sacrificing a little bit of accuracy, in many cases, the LAE savings kind of more than makes up for that. So it's very much a win-win for both the carrier and the insured.
Good point. Not cheap to fly all those adjusters out there and set them up for sometimes weeks, sometimes months of adjusting. Great points. All right, let's jump to industry chatter, where we share a quote from someone else in the industry to get your reaction. So this week's quote comes from author Brian Falchuk, and the quote is, "You don't digitize for empathy. You digitize to take the process and the pain and the kind of monotony out of it. Empathy is all that's left, and it gets amplified." Your reaction?
I think Brian's got it spot on here, Amber. And I often tell audiences, one of the big questions that has to be asked by insurance carriers and even agents or brokers is, where do you put the machines and where do you put the humans, right? We need to have humans do what humans do best. That's the empathy part. When you have a human that's, rekeying information from screen 1 into screen 2 because those two systems don't talk to each other, right? Or having to be on the phone to kind of, verify some piece of information or whatnot, those are tasks that can be automated. Those are behind the scenes. They don't really impact the insured. And versus if you compare that experience to, say, the loss of a engagement or a wedding ring, you can have a form for that, and some people may feel comfortable filling out a form for a first notice of loss with the the 4 C's, right, and all that. But I think for many of us, that's an emotional time. It's not just about that particular item or piece of jewelry, but it's about our relationship. It's about the story of how I got the ring, how we got proposed. It goes back to our wedding day and things like that. I think that's a great example where having that human empathy there in the process is really critical.
Completely agree. I think about two very different claim experiences I've had. One was a quick fender bender, was able to complete it online. It was, at $1,500 worth of damage, no injuries. Did it all online, had no human interaction, and that was fine. But I also had at one point in my life a serious house fire. And my agent showed up to the house with a literal check. This was years ago. But at that, it was obviously very emotional for my family. And to have that human there at that time, talking to us, you know, literally like hand around our shoulders, talking us through it. I think that was really instrumental, and it makes perfect sense to me.
And now we hear from our BPTV audience with questions from the crowd.
What does insurance look like in the 2030s? So looking about 10 years out. So what is your futurist perspective on insurance in the 2030s?
I see a lot of trends. I see a lot of folks obviously going through digital transformation journeys. They're going to core systems replacements. They're going to digital marketplaces, not just for personal lines, but now small commercial. And I think people are starting to understand, well, right, even mid to large size accounts may be able to handle it in some aspects. It also has to be kind of packaged as both products and services. Risk prevention is going to be a lot more important. And so again, there's going to be digital processes for sure, but then again, there's going to be kind of human expertise still needed along the way. And that could be all the way from, you know, acquiring the policy to servicing the policy to that claims experience.
I know you've talked a lot about shifting the focus from here's a product, who wants to buy it, to here's a customer, what products do they need? So really shifting that focus and going back to the customer. And I think the extension of the insurance value proposition ties right into that. You touched on risk prevention. And I think about cyber, for example. We're seeing that so much with cyber. Like Cowbell, for example, they've got programs that not only pick you up if you've got an incident, but they help prevent it as well. So I think you're starting to see that start to take shape, especially in some of the newer coverages like that. And it's so exciting to see because, yeah, I mean, as an underwriter, it makes perfect sense. Let's reduce the risk before the loss happens. So we're supporting that insured end to end, not just here's your policy, call me if you have a claim. It's really that support all the way through, which is so fantastic and exciting to see.
Yeah, and I just would throw this out there that what insurance company is going to be the next lifestyle company, similar to the way people identify with Apple in a different way than they do, say, a Microsoft or an IBM, right? All of these companies sell technology, but the type of relationship, the type of emotions that Apple fanatics kind of have about their products and services is just vastly different than many other competitors. And I think there's actually an opportunity for the insurance industry to be there. I don't know that there's one that I'd say is a leader today. It is more commoditized, more transactional. This is something that I have to get, or I know I should get. But I think through some of those services and that bundling of kind of products and services, where insurance is more just a feature, not the central product, but it's really supporting people's individual lifestyles, and people feel that, hey, my insurance agent, broker, carrier really knows me and cares about me, right? Is looking out for me.
Completely. Well, I'm excited to see what the future holds. We will all be experiencing it I think 2030 sounds a million years away right now, but look how fast 2020 and 2021 came. So I think we're in for an exciting next decade as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about just the advent of, computers and mobile computing, right? The introduction of the iPhone in 2007 actually wasn't that long ago, and, just over a decade. And so just there's so much innovation, so much emerging technologies today. I'm very excited about what the future holds.
Likewise. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. Again, Rob Galbraith, our guest today, author, speaker, and insurance futurist. Thanks so much, Rob.
Thanks, Amber. Great to be with you as always.
Likewise. See ya.